Hey, welcome to the Small Business Made Simple podcast, brought to you by socialmediaandmarketing.com.au. Being in business is never easy, but it can be simple, or at least simpler. Join me, your host Jen Donovan, every week where we focus on marketing, social media, and working towards simplifying your business. You with me? Let's do this.
If you're gonna dream it big, 'cause someone out there listening. Everyone's got a voice to give, and it's time I heard you whistling, 'cause there's no point at all, in dreaming small.
Why, hey there, my amazing listener. Welcome and thank you for tuning in to episode 290 of the Small Business Made Simple podcast. Welcome to April. Hasn't the year just flown? We are a quarter in, but we're not going to talk about that today. That is a conversation for another day. But this month, the month of April, is a new theme. Last month, we had the theme about amplification. February was the theme around email marketing. This theme is around business basics, the basic things you need to know about business to be successful. Maybe you've been in business a while, but don't be fooled, because sometimes going back to the basics is exactly what you need to do in order to move forward. So that is what we're talking about in the month of April, business basics. But of course, before I get started with today's episode, just a reminder of my brand new exclusive offer, my VIP marketing experience in the Penthouse. Now, it's on Thursday, the 18th of April in the CBD of Melbourne. It is all about getting your marketing strategy done. But applications are actually closing this week. So if you've been on the fence thinking, will I, won't I, could I, shouldn't I, then it is time for you to make that decision. Reach out to me if you've got any questions. Otherwise, you can find the link in the show notes at socialmediaandmarketing.com.au/290 for episode 290. I would love for you to be one of the 6 that comes along on the 18th of April. Of course, while you're on my website there, don't forget to grab a copy of my book, Small Town, Big Impact, with 107 simple marketing strategies in it. It's like the marketing Bible. You really should have the marketing Bible. But let's get into today's topic, which is marketing basics, or actually small business basics, I should say. So the basics is going back to the 3 questions you need to be able to answer in order to have any real success in your business. You ready for them? I feel like I should have some theme music. Ready for it? I'd sing, but you would switch off straight away. The 3 questions are: who is your who? Where do they hang out? And what do you want to be famous for? If you can get these 3 questions right, then you are well on your way in business. But get them wrong, or get stuck marketing to the wrong audience or in the wrong place, then that's why you get sick of marketing, tired of business, fed up, because nothing seems to be working despite all your effort and all your energy. When you are quite possibly A, marketing to the wrong audience with the wrong message, B, marketing in the wrong place, or C, have no real idea what you want to be famous for, and therefore your message is sloppy, your message is confusing to anyone who reads it. It's like, is this for me? Is this not for me? I don't even know who this person is talking to, and no one has really any idea what it is you're trying to sell them. They're just so confused. Does any of this sound vaguely familiar? I really hope not. But today we're going to get to the bottom of it so that you don't feel like that. Now, if you think you know who your ideal client is, then you could possibly be right. But I can tell you that probably about 90% of the clients who come and work with me one-on-one to do a strategy or my private coaching service, this is where we have to start. We have to start way back at the beginning, because they did know their ideal client, but guess what? We change. Us humans, we're pretty hard to keep up with. And certainly if you haven't changed your thoughts or where you're marketing or your messaging in the last couple of years since the pandemic, you are definitely having an issue with your ideal client, because we all changed. We've all changed again now with the cost of living crisis as well. So think about your ideal client. It may be the same person you are targeting, but their buying habits or have changed, or the messaging you are using to get them to buy or come back and buy again is no longer relevant, and therefore your sales strategy is literally falling on deaf ears. This stuff is so important. I cannot stress how important this stuff is. Now, I know I used to fluff over this stuff as well. And I used to think, it was just stuff. Did I really need to do this stuff? And maybe that's exactly what you're thinking right now, listening to this podcast. It's like, seriously, Jen, we're going back this far? Haven't you got 20 episodes on this already out of 290? The answer is yeah, I probably have. But this is how important it is. That's it. It's marketing speak. It's not marketing speak. Sorry. This isn't something that marketers make up and something we do to fill the space, such as a podcast episode. This stuff is real. If you don't get it, if you don't know who your who is, you don't know where they hang out, and you don't know what you want to be famous for, it can just cause you so much headache, or so many headaches, I should say. And of course, it will stunt your growth in business. Whenever I'm having a lull in my business, I can guarantee you it comes back to two things, and two things only. One, me. It's me. I'm not putting in the effort, I'm not putting in the energy, or I'm putting up my own roadblocks. Really hard to manage and think that you are the lull in your business, but it's true. It's either me or my messaging is off, and I need to go back and examine these three questions. Who is my who? Where do they hang out? And what do I want to be famous for? Although I have to say, if I'm really being honest about this, it's really the first two questions I go back and examine. Who is my who and where do they hang out? Because what I want to be famous for is pretty solid. Other than going through a bit of a transition where it might be like, I want to be known for coaching, or I want to be known for speaking. But at the end of the day, I want to be known for marketing. End of story. So whether my messaging is about book me for a speaker, or it's about, come and do one-on-one coaching with me, or do some mentoring, it's still all around marketing. So let's workshop these today in the podcast. Who is your who? And how the frig do you find out who your who is? It's the biggest question I get, because, I wish I could sell this stuff. I really do. I'm probably going a bit off script now, but I wish that I could run workshops continually talking about who is your who, what do you want to be famous for? Who is your who, where do they hang out, and what do you want to be famous for? Because you know what? I could change the small business world forever if I got to sit on my soapbox and talk about those three questions every single day. But you know what? It's so unsexy, no one would come. It's not AI. It's not social media. It's not Instagram. It's not sexy. And yet if you get it wrong, it just pulls your business back or stunts your growth and makes you hate being in business. So I wish that I could talk about this all the time, but I can't. So I get people in with other workshops, but really this is the crust of it. So it might be this big, sexy, how to use AI to market your business in 2024. But when you come to that workshop, you'll find that we actually go back and have a look at who is your who, where do they hang out, and what do you want to be famous for? Anyway, that's my little soapbox, because I really wish that I could change the world by talking about these three questions. That's how passionate I am. But let's go back to how you actually find out who your who is. So my biggest hint to you, and what works for me and has worked for me for years, and my mentor used to do this exercise as well, is basically close your eyes and imagine your best client, the client you want more of. If you could clone them, who are they? Maybe they're the one who fills your cup every time you speak to them. They pay on time. They never ask for more than what you've been paid for. They are always pleasant. They're champions of your business to others, so on and so on. Who is that person? So, unless you're driving, running, walking, or doing something that will cause you harm right now, close your eyes and literally imagine this person. Press pause, close your eyes, and imagine who your ideal client is. So take some notice of some things. Why that person? Why, when I said, imagine who your best customer is, why did they come to mind? Now, this person could exist. You might have the perfect customer and you're like, I need to clone this person, this exact person. Or they might be a collection of different aspects of different customers. And look, that's okay. And whoever or whatever they are, I would really encourage you to give them a name. Get to know them really, really well in your head and then, of course, on paper as well. In fact, I was just thinking when I was recording this, I used to have a copy of my ideal client hanging on my corkboard above my desk. And to be totally honest, I never realized it was gone until I've just gone to look at it now. And every time I used to write something or start to go down that rabbit hole, that bright, shiny object rabbit hole, I would look up at that ideal client and I would think, would Michelle, because that's her name, would Michelle buy this? Would Michelle want this? How much would Michelle pay for this? Etc., etc. They used to be the questions that I asked. And, like I said, that piece of paper has gone, obviously, in some sort of a cleanup. And I don't remember it has made me really step back and go, you know what? I think I need Michelle back in my life up there front and center. I still think of her. And I still write to her and I still develop products for her in mind, but I don't have that piece of paper sitting in front of me. So anyway, I think I might need to bring that back. Now, I do have a workbook you can work through with all of this. You can find it in the show notes in my you can find it in the show notes for this podcast. Of course, the show notes can be found at socialmedia.com.au/290 for 290. Go and download it, print it, and start working your way through it. It goes through all three questions, but let's get on to the second question. Where does your who hang out? This is a vital question because you need to know where to market to reach them at the end of the day. No use having a podcast if your ideal client doesn't listen to them, or be on Instagram if they're hanging out on LinkedIn, or not doing email marketing because you don't like it, but your ideal client would. You can see where I'm going with this. Of course you can. You need to be where they are, not where you feel the most comfortable. Again, doing the workbook mentioned above, or mentioned before, I should say, do the work. Discover where these people market or where these people hang out that you can market to them. So 2 things, I guess, you can do to discover where your who is. Market research, test and measure. Do some research. This stuff is not, small business isn't easy, unfortunately. It's simple, but it's not easy. So do some research. Start having a look. Who actually hangs out on LinkedIn? Who actually hangs out on Instagram? Ask ChatGPT to give you, a rundown of the people that hang out on LinkedIn. What's their bio look like? Go and have a look. Research on Google, research on YouTube. Have a look. Test and measure. Do some research. And B, of course, is listen to what your clients are saying. Like really listen. Or potential clients. They don't have to be your people that are paying you now, but potential clients. Really listen to them. Like, do you ever hear your ideal client or someone who falls into that sort of characterization say things like, I found this really great YouTube video the other day, or I spent the whole hour scrolling on TikTok last weekend, or I listened to this great podcast yesterday, or even I hate LinkedIn. It's such a waste of time. Listening to what your customers say will give you an edge on knowing where your ideal client is hanging out. Start to look for the patterns. Start for looking for the keywords that they're already using that you might be ignoring. Now, let's just say they're forever talking about podcasts. That doesn't mean you need to go and start your own podcast, but does it mean that you need to be a guest on other people's podcasts? Again, doesn't mean you need to go and start your own YouTube channel, but you might do some YouTube ads, or you might try and get on somebody's YouTube channel with them. Or maybe The thing that you've been ignoring for the last 2 years, which is TikTok, is something you are going to have to learn and be more comfortable with, because that is where your people are. Market research, test and measure. Now, you could even go back as far as episode 262 of this podcast, which of course you can find at socialmediaandmarketing.com.au/262, which is all around generational marketing. So finding out the best marketing strategies to use for different types of people or the different generations. Maybe that's part of your research. So get the workbook, like I said before, and start working through it. Start listening and start doing your research to find the best places to market to your people. I find that so many small business owners get a strategy that works. For instance, Facebook works for them, but then they keep going with that strategy long after their ideal client has left. They don't realize that they've left. What they realize is that Facebook's no longer working for them. But the reality is, Facebook's no longer working for them because their people aren't there anymore. Or you could, you insert name of strategy, really. But the thing I'm trying to say here is that if you haven't changed your strategy in a long time, it's time to go back to the drawing board and see whether this is really where you should be hanging out, or the only places that you should be hanging out. Okay, so we're up to the last question here. What do you want to be famous for? In a room full of people, a room full of your ideal clients, what would you like me to say about you to all those people to make them go, ooh, I need to work with them. Can I have their number? For me, it's marketing. If you need a marketing mentor, a marketing coach, a marketing strategy, or a speaker on the subject of marketing, I want you to recommend me. I want people to think marketing and then go, ooh, I need to get in touch with Jen Donovan. That's what I want to be famous for. Bit of a side note. Might as well put a plug in here. If you have a local business group, a local chamber, or your local council or membership that often have speakers or have events during the year with speakers, I would love for you to drop my name or get them to get in touch, or maybe even give me a shout and give me their details and I can get in front of them. Look, that would be totally amazing, because I'm sure that I would love to come and see you face to face, of course. So, if you have anything like that or hear anything, please, feel free to recommend me for one of those. So what can I do for you? Where is it for you? Like I said, if I'm in a room full of people, what can I say about you to make them want to call you or use your services or buy your products? What's your expertise? What do you want them to remember about you? It's so important, as it really brings your message to life. It enables people to connect with you with some, make you familiar to them. It brings a level of trust, that know, like, and trust. And it brings you referrals and good old-fashioned word-of-mouth marketing, which is still the best marketing you can get. So maybe ask people what they think you do and see what they say. Now, when I say people, I mean like potential clients, potential ideal clients, or past clients. Don't ask your family. I don't know if my family would know what I do, as in my parents and my sisters and my brothers. But anyway, ask some people and see if the answer they give is accurate, or do you have a messaging problem, or do you have a brand awareness issue? People should be able to describe what you do in either one or two words when they're recommending you, word of mouth marketing, all that sort of thing. Jen Donovan, marketing. Jules Brooke, PR. Emma Lovell, retreats. Amy Tracy, startups. Kate Toon, SEO. Sam Winch, courses. Tracy Sheehan, AI. Therese Tarlington, partnerships. Wendy Lloyd Curley, strategic networking. See, I know what they do. These people are in my world, but I know what they do because they tell me what they do. They tell me in conversations. They tell me in their messaging. They tell me in their marketing. They continually show up as the person who wants to be famous for that. This is the goal. What do you want to be famous for? So again, go and get the workbook and go through the questions. This workbook was actually part of the deal when you buy my book, Small Town Big Impact. But honestly, I didn't want to reinvent the wheel and have to set up a whole heap of new assets. So now it's just part of the podcast as well. So you can go and find the link in my show notes at socialmediaandmarketing.com.au/290 for the workbook. Or reach out to me, DM me, email me, and I'll send you the link. But it's probably quicker if you just go to my my website and find it there. Okay, so I'm done. This was the first of April's Small Business Basics month. Stay tuned for all sorts of other topics around this and, of course, guests this month. But I'd like to know, what's your biggest takeaway when we start talking about who is your who? What do you want to be famous for? Where did your who hang out? What's your biggest takeaway from today? I would love to know. You can DM me, email me, or, of course, jump into the Like-Minded Business Owners Facebook group and let me know in there. But that's it for episode 290. I really hope you found this episode valuable and has made you stop and think a little harder about the basic questions of marketing. And of course, if you did enjoy it, I'd love for you to leave a rating and a review, or even better, or not even better, maybe just also, if I can push my luck, recommend this podcast to a friend. Send a link to the friend and say, I think you need to listen to this podcast. Again, if you're not part of my community, my Like-Minded Business Owners community, please come to Facebook and join that group. Otherwise, I'll see you next week for episode 291. In the meantime, if we aren't social butterflies on social, please come and find me. I'm pretty much Jen Donovan on all the platforms. But remember, my small business peep, as my opening song says, there is no point in dreaming small.
No time like the present. Tell it like you feel it, say it proud, be true, and let us see you for the star that you are. No point in dreaming small.
I would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land, the Yorta Yorta people, on which I record this podcast and conduct my business today, and pay my respects to their elders, past and present. I extend this respect to the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people here with us today as well.